Welcome, welcome, welcome to Classroom, Google Classroom. That's how you're supposed to say it. Okay, so like Bond, James Bond. So Classroom, Google Classroom. Welcome. This is Google Classroom Basics. That's such a basic title, so I try to jazz it up a little bit, but that is what we're going through today. It's Google Classroom Basics. I love Google Classroom. It's a tool that came out specifically for educators. So a lot of Google tools that come out are not specifically for education, but this one was. So it really was dear to all the educators' hearts, and we have been struggling to use Google tools with our students before that, and then we had this platform that was just for us. Now Google Classroom has grown. So you may think like, why would you take 2 hours in Google Classroom? It's a 2 hour plus class. So we're going to go through as much as we can. This is being recorded. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, hey y'all, you don't get a certificate, but you do get the knowledge. So I am officially the host, but I'm also the presenter. So I'm only going to introduce myself as the host right now. So I'm Dr. Desiree Alexander, founder, CEO of Educator Alexander Consulting, and I am the host for this webinar. So what do we have coming up? Strategies for teaching kids with autism that unlock their potential on October 4th. So can't wait for this one. I know a little bit about autism, but not a lot, and definitely not a lot about how to make sure that our students that are sitting in our classrooms that may happen to be autistic, how do we really help them out? So looking forward to this one. Yay. Then we have beyond the devices, digital equity in ed tech. So if you know Dr. Sarah Thomas, you love Dr. Sarah Thomas. EduMatch, if you've ever heard of EduMatch, she's the founder of EduMatch. So she's like everything she does turns to gold. She's amazing. So really looking forward. She can literally be like reading the phone book, page one. I'm like, yes. So she's amazing. Very happy to have her. She's already been part of the EA family, but she's coming on back to help us out with that. So looking forward to that. We do have a couple of other webinars that we are planning right now. So we're looking forward to that. One will be in November with another EA webinar family. So we're excited. We have more coming up. Then I will be at TCEA. So yay, January, February ish. So I'll be at TCA doing these sessions so far. Then usually my schedule kind of fills up even more, but I'm just happy with these sessions. It should be a really good conference, and that's the technology conference in Texas. It's the biggest one in the United States that's not like ISTE and FETC. So yay, looking forward to it. And we always have our online self-paced courses for test prep, Google tests and SLLA if you're interested in educational leadership. That test is in half of the United States. So we always have our self-paced courses, support time. People will be like, hey, I want to sit and talk to you about this or that. And so we always have those self-paced online courses. If you want to see a webinar or if you want to present a webinar for us, make sure that you fill out the very quick Google form. Notice all of these things I'm talking about have the same link at the bottom at alex.net/events. You go there, you see everything, you can click on everything, you can register for everything, all that good stuff. Whew. Let's get started. So we're about to jump into Classroom, Google Classroom. Welcome to Classroom, Google Classroom. Unfortunately, you still have me. I'm going to be your presenter for today. No, I'm going to say fortunately, right? Get that confidence. All right, so I am Dr. Desiree Alexander. I am the Deputy Director for the Associated Professional Educators of Louisiana. Woo. I'm also the founder CEO of Educator Alexander Consulting and the executive director for the Transformative Educational Leadership Program with certified people in educational leadership in the state of Louisiana. I know all of my titles are really long for some reason, but more importantly, I started my career as a sixth grade and eighth grade English teacher, became a high school English teacher, middle school librarian, high school librarian, and then district level instructional technology supervisor. And now that was my 20 plus years in education. I still feel like I'm in education, but now I'm doing this full time. So I'm pretty much helping educators full time. Is what I absolutely love to do. I go to bed tired every night and I absolutely love it. So That's me. Hello. I am a big Google person. I love Google. I'm a Google partner, Google champion, all those good things. So I'm happy to kind of dig into Google Classroom because it has updated so much. And a lot of people kind of jump in the middle. So your district can say, hey, you have to go use Google Classroom. And you just kind of jump in the middle of using it without getting real training. So that's why I'm seeing a whole bunch now where back in the day it was just like, what is Google Classroom? Everybody didn't know, right? But now people are kind of pushed to use it and they never get that basic training. So I know how much this is needed and I understand why it was suggested. So I'm ready to hop on in. This is how you can subscribe to all of my things, my newsletter, all of the different things. Help yourself. And then this is the resource for today. It's not something you have to like have pulled up while we go, because this is going to be a hands-on session. So I'm literally going to be showing you click this, click that, click here. So if you have a different device or you want to split your screen or however you want to do it, you can literally be clicking with me. But this is a nice resource that you can get to later. So let's hop into Google Classroom. So if you want to work with me, just go pull up Google Classroom. If you don't know how to pull it up, we'll talk about that right now. Google Classroom. Remember, if you are here live with me, please put any questions in the chat. So this is Google Classroom. How do I get to it? You have a couple of ways. Anytime you're trying to get to something in Google, you have a couple of ways. I am using this with Google Chrome. Google always works best with Google Chrome. If you want to use Bing or Microsoft Edge, I'm about to say Internet Explorer, showing my age. Microsoft Edge, Firefox, it's fine. You can use it with whatever you want to use it for, but you may see like a button that is not on those, that kind of thing. So Google works best with Google. So I am using Google Chrome. So because I'm using Google Chrome, if I just come to my, just pulling up Google screen, my new page, I can come here to the waffle and look for Google Classroom. Everybody's waffle has different things in it, but most of them will have like your basic Google tools, and Google Classroom is one of those. So you should be able to find it in the waffle, and this is how the little icon looks. You can also just type in classroom.google.com. Anytime you're looking for a Google product, you can type in the product name .google.com. So docs.google.com, forms.google.com, classroom classroom.google.com. So you can type in classroom.google.com and get to your Google Classroom. Now, your screen may not look like my screen. I have different Google Classrooms already created, so that's why my screen looks like this. And this is my trainer account. So on my trainer account, I may have more buttons than you have because I am a Google admin. So like you probably won't have visit a class unless you're an administrator. So don't think like, oh, well, my screen doesn't look like hers, something's wrong. Absolutely not. So the things I'm going to show you are the things you should see on your screen. If there's a button and it's for the paid Google, I'm going to tell you like, hey, we're not going to go deep into this because this is a paid Google tool, but I do want you to know that it's there. We may talk about it a little bit, but I don't want to go too deep into stuff that everybody doesn't have. And if you're like, well, I don't know if I have a paid Google or not, you usually need to ask your district if you have a paid Google or not. Or there's like little things in there's little buttons in certain Google tools that if you see it, that means you have the paid Google, if that makes sense. Let's see if we have a question. Someone asked me if I can explain how Google Classroom works with GoGuardian. So we're not going to get into GoGuardian because that's a whole separate tool. But GoGuardian is a tool that can monitor screens. So I can pull up GoGuardian and see what my students are doing on different screens. I mean, that's the most I'm honestly gonna get into GoGuardian. But so if your students are using Google Classroom on their devices, you'll be able to see it through GoGuardian. So that's the deepest I can really get for this class on Go Guardian. But please ask any questions because if I can get a little deeper into it without going completely off the edge, I will. But okay, they said thanks, that will work. So okay, good. So Go Guardian is a whole different platform, whole different tool. And that's the point and purpose of Go Guardian is that I can see all this what students are doing on their device. I can shut it down. I can say, hey, look at me and put like a blank screen on all their screens, that kind of thing. If they're doing something inappropriate, I can like grab it right quick, all that stuff. All right. Google Classroom. So this is Google Classroom. If you see like a gray, almost like a world, I think it's like a table, then that means you haven't set up any Google Classrooms before, and that's just fine. How this is supposed to work. Now you make it work the way you want it to work. But how it's supposed to work is each class period, if you have class periods, should be a different box. It should be a different Google Classroom. So let's say you teach science and it's like science first period, science second period, science third period, science fourth period. Each of them should be a different Google Classroom. So you're keeping your students separate into their own Google Classroom. If you don't have classes, let's say you're a lower level teacher, you teach like maybe second grade and they don't switch as much, or first grade. So if you're using it for lower level, sometimes teachers were separated by subject. So they'll have like a math Google Classroom and an English Google Classroom. So when we talk about math, they go into that Google Classroom. Some teachers also use it as more like a parent portal. So it'll just be called, they'll just have one that's called Miss Smith's Google Classroom because maybe they're a pre-K teacher. Their students aren't really, they're doing stuff on the computer, but they're not like going into Google Classroom and reading, right? Everything, all that kind of stuff. But they'll use it as a parent portal, but they'll use their students' username and password. So the student is still enrolled, but the parent is the one getting really awesome advice about how to help their students at home. Here's a book that is being read to your student. Please listen to this at home. That kind of stuff. So those are all the different uses, depending on your grade level. So to create your Google Classroom, you're going to click this plus sign. So I already hear some people going, wait, what do you mean create my Google Classroom? Because my Google Classrooms are already created for me. If your district creates the Google Classrooms for you, then you're not going to do this step. When you go into your Google Classroom, your classes are already here. But if not, us curmudgeons have to create our own Google Classrooms. So that's when I'm going to come here and I'm going to hit create. So notice I'm clicking on the plus sign and I'm going to hit create. Notice there's also join. So as an adult, you can join other people's Google Classrooms. Your school may be doing a book study. You may be doing a resource Google Classroom. All that good stuff. So you can join Google Classes as well. Your students should only have a join. They should not have a create. And I did not bring up the student account, but I will bring it up in a second when I have that student join my class. So I'm going to hit create class, and then I'm going to fill this out. So class name is usually your subject. So English, history, whatever. If you want to put Miss Miss class, help yourself. I'm just going to do, what class am I teaching to? I'm just going to do English. Why not? All right. And then section is your class period, your hour, whatever you guys call it. So I'm going to say third period. Oh, that's not a three. Third period, for an example. Where it says subject and room, you honestly can just leave those blank. They don't show up anywhere. I'm going to put something here because maybe it'll show up because Google Classroom updates a lot. So we'll see if it shows up somewhere, but usually it does not show up anywhere. So I'm going to put love, and then the room is peace. Why not? All right, we'll see if it shows up somewhere. And I'm going to hit create. And then you give this a second to create. While it's creating, oh, mine was quick, yay. So I'm gonna give yours a second to create if you're working with me. Okay, so now we have our Google Classroom. Yay, we're so happy. So notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs. You probably will not see the analytics tab, or you may, I don't. But you may see it, you may not. But 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you don't see it, it may be coming. Because I think it's for everybody. I don't think it's just for admin. So, but again, yeah, that's for everybody. All right. So you may see it, you may not. If you don't see it, don't fret. Things are released at different times for different people. So notice it put English third period. I don't see love and peace anywhere. Not yet. Maybe we'll see it somewhere else. But we have English third period, and notice that we can customize this if we want to. So you can customize the picture at the top, and if you change the color, then like these things, you see how this is in blue, that will change. So I like to tell people to try to use a more vibrant color than a muted color, because you do want, like, when your students are looking at it, for it to be a little bit more vibrant, like your headers. So if I come here to customize, notice I can choose my color, and you have different colors here, and you can either upload a photo or select your own photo. So if I come here, these are the general ones, but it did give me an English one. If I wanted a different one, I can choose it. Math and science, art, sports, and other is just, random ones that you may be using. Um, so you can keep it, you can change it, do whatever feels right in your head. If I did want to change it, let's say I want this broken vase one that's more like history, I'm gonna select class theme. Notice it changed my color for me, but I can change it to whatever I want to change it to. Is up to you. I like how the bubbles kind of fluctuate. That's new. I like it. All right, there you go. And then I can click save. So now I have a different picture. Notice that oh, what I should have updated, but we'll see what happens. Let me refresh. My color is just acting the way, okay, well, do your thing, baby. All right, so there you go. I did choose a different color, just making sure. But that usually this will change colors, but we'll see when we go to class or when we start adding stuff. It should be this pinkish salmon color. So I have stream, classwork, people, and grades. So if you notice, I'm actually in my English third period classroom, but I can also go back to my dashboard and work on the settings for all of my Google classes. We're actually going to work on that around the middle of this class. So we're just going to play right here in our one Google Classroom for now. Okay. So I am looking at so just to explain what these are. So stream is where you're going to put your announcements. Hey, don't forget we have a test tomorrow. Bring your book tomorrow. You're going to do great on your homework, blah blah blah. So this is where you put your announcements. Classwork is where you put everything else. All of your assignments, all of the things, your syllabus, your math table, everything else goes under classwork. People is where all of your students live. So all of your students will be listed here. If you have a co-teacher, they'll be here. This is just a list. Honestly, you're not going to come back to people that often, but that's actually where we're going to start today in a second. Grades is where your grade book will be. Notice it doesn't say anything because I haven't added anything, but you'll see that it looks like a traditional grade book once we start adding assignments. And then analytics is new, and it's where you're going to get your well, I mean, I don't know how else to say it, analytics for your class. So how many assignments have been completed, what's the average grade. You're going to have your students listed here, and it's going to give you analytics for each student. So, and again, if you don't see this yet, that is okay. I promise it's coming. So we're gonna start on the people tab. Hey, yay! Because we need to add some students or add some a teacher. So if I wanted to add a teacher as a co-teacher, I can only invite them. Like, you can't force me to co-teach your class with you, but you can invite me and I can say no. So I have a little man with a plus sign. I can go ahead and type my teacher's name or put the teacher's email address, whatever works for your district. So if I'm saying, hey, I want to invite, Desiree, nope, that's my account right now. I want to invite my personal account. So I can come here and I can click invite, and then it's just going to sit here in an invited grayed out state until I accept. So once I accept, I'll be, I have color and all that kind of stuff, and you'll know that I am part of the Google Classroom. When you have a co-teacher, they can do pretty much everything that you can do. So just keep that in mind. Some people, if you're using Google Classroom for, like, let's say the 4-H club, or things like that. Some people will invite the president of the 4-H club. Even though it's a student, I want you to be able to post stuff and do stuff with me. So I may invite you as a teacher. Notice with the three dots, I can email or I can remove. I'm going to remove because I don't want a co-teacher. So I've removed that person. You're gone. Be gone from me, person. And then I can come here and invite students. So there's a couple of ways to get students in your Google Classroom. Again, if your district does it for you, then you're fine. But you may have that one student that comes that you may have to put in. I don't know your life. But these are the different ways to get students in your Google Classroom. So one way is exactly like teachers up here. You can come down here and invite your students. I've had teachers of littles, teachers of, second, third grade, where they're like, look, this is the best way for me to do it. I have a set 30, class of 30 students. I can just invite them right quick and we're done. So we don't have to go through the other different ways. Once you invite a student, what they're going to see is a box that looks like this where they can decline or accept. Unfortunately, yes, they can decline. And you know our babies, so you're going to have somebody decline. And it's not that they're being malicious, they just may decline because they clicked the wrong button. And then you just invite them again and everything is fine. But, hopefully they accept. What I would do if I was that teacher is say, hey, everybody, open your Chromebooks, open your iPads, whatever we're using, let's accept together, right? I want your hands up. Okay, now go, and click accept at the same time. And you can see them start populating in your room, in your Google Classroom people list. So that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it is to send them the code for your class, or you can give them the link for your class. So you may look around here and go, well, Desiree, where's the code? Where's the link? It's actually not on this screen anymore, but it is under the gear. So you see class settings. So this is for this one Google Classroom. These are the settings for this one Google Classroom. So I can come here to class settings and we're going to talk about everything, but we're just going to focus on what we're focused on right now. So we're going to scroll down and go to general. So notice I have a link that I can send them. So if I use Class Dojo or I use some other communication system where they can just go and click on the link, I can literally just send this to them. So I just made a copy of it by clicking the little copy button. And now I can send this to them and say, click on it and come into the classroom. Done. Woo-hoo. Okay. So if I go to a student account, hopefully they're logged in. All right. So if I go to the link, notice it's saying, hey, do you want to join this class? So that's how easy the link is. So however you get the students the link, they have the link, they click it, they join the class, they're done, you're done. Last way to do this is to give them the class code. So you would either write this on the board or however you want to get it to them. But there's a nice little display class code button right here where I can click that and I'm like, hey y'all, let's go to Google Classroom, put in this class code, let's go. If they can't see it, you can click this little full screen. Now can you see it? It's there. It looks like jazz. I like it. So there you go. Now, Google is not perfect, so sometimes your class code will look a little spelling, it looks like a bad word or something like that. So you can always come here and reset your class code. So if that, because sometimes I say it, I'm like that, my middle school brain is not, that's not how that should look. So you can just reset it. I also reset it if I see any zeros or O's because if it's an O, the students will keep putting zeros and say it's not worked. So if I see any zeros, and that's just my thing, you don't have to do that. But if I see zeros and O's, I'm like, I'm not dealing with that. So I'll just reset it. Last thing is if your class code gets out, like let's say you have students joining your Google Classroom and you're like, you're not my student. That means your class code was posted on Snapchat or something crazy. You can just come and reset it. So you can always come and reset your class code. So I have my student here. Notice the student account looks pretty much like an adult account, right? But if the student clicks on the plus sign, they can only join. They can't create a class. So my student is going to join using my class code. So I put the class code in there and now it says join. So I'm going to join using the class code. And now I'm in my teacher's Google Classroom. Yay, I'm awesome. So there you go. So that's how a student will join your Google Classroom. So now I'm back to the teacher side. The only other thing I want to say about your invite codes is that you can turn them off. This is super important. If you have 28 students in your physical classroom and now you have 28 students in your Google Classroom, you're done. Go turn off your class code. You don't want some rando coming into your class and you don't even realize it because you don't really go check the student list. So if you have all your kids in there, turn off the class code. And I don't care if you created your Google Classroom or your district created your Google Classroom. If you have all the students in your Google Class that you need, turn off your class code. So I'm going to turn it off. And believe me, you can always go turn it back on. So if you get a new student or whatever it may be, you can always come and turn on back on. And notice it gives you a brand new class code. The class code is somewhere in here, so it's a brand new link. Look, it's right here at the back. So I'm going to turn it off because I have all the students I need. I have my one. I'm so lucky. I have one student. So I'm done with this. Now, there's some other stuff to go through in here, but we're not going through that right now. So we're going to go ahead and click the X and get out of class settings. And now I have a student. Yay! I'm awesome. All right. So I have a student here. The student's name is student one because I'm very creative. But if her name was Mary Smith, it would say Mary Smith right there. So all of my students would be listed on here. So if I have a problem with a student, let's say a student puts a bad phrase on my Google Classroom, right? They put a cuss word in Google Classroom. Somebody comes to tell me about it, and there you go. I'm just gonna stop right there. So somebody came to tell me about it. I go see it. I'm like, oh no, I can't believe they did that. You can mute a student. So if I come back to the people tab, I can come here. Notice I have my select all students button and I have actions. And then I can go like deselect certain ones by clicking them. Or I could just click on a single student and the actions button still comes up. Now this came up because I only have one student. But I also have the three dots right here that also have the same actions. So again, Google gives you, multiple ways to get to the same thing. Notice you can email students if your students have email addresses. You can remove a student. So if a student does leave my Google Classroom, I am going to remove them. Even if they're transient students, I know they're going to be back in 2 weeks. I'm still going to remove them. And then when they come back, I'm going to add them again. And all their stuff is still in their account. So it's not like you're losing something. But I am going to remove them because I don't want them, first of all, listed on my Google Classroom roster, but it also removes the Google Classroom from your student's account. So it just helps everybody stay more organized. And then I can mute them. So if I mute a student, they can still submit their work and they can still ask me questions. So they can still submit their work, they can still ask me questions, but they can't respond to other students. They can't comment or post. I call them like a little ghost in Google Classroom. So they're a little ghost, but they can still do what they need to do. And I like that it puts this little symbol here. So if you have a co-teacher and they're like, oh, my Google Classroom don't work no more. And they're like, oh, baby. And I can go look at this list and go, oh, no, she canceled you for a reason. I don't know why. I don't want to know why, but I'm not touching it. You need to go to her and ask her why you were muted. And then you can also come back here and you can unmute them. So if they start doing good stuff and you're like, you've earned your rights back to speak, you can come here and unmute them. So there you go. Notice it goes to student analytics. And, so if you have that analytics button, you have ways that you can see, like, how is this student doing? Blah, blah, blah. So there you go. And my student is in 2 classrooms. How are they doing? Weeks since they were last active. Oh, my student is just, what is happening? Why isn't he active in Google Classroom? So you get the point. All right. So I'll go back. But there you go. You can also click on the student's name and you get kind of like a progress report for the student where it shows what they've turned in, what you've returned back to them, the work that they're missing, all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty cool system. So going to a Google Classroom that I use, all the time for training. So if I click on student one, this is their progress report. So you see the overall grade, the parents like, well, what do they have still missing? I can say, oh, these are all the assignments they have missing. These are the ones that they've turned in. So it's a nice little progress report. And a lot of people don't know you can do that. That you can go to the people tab or honestly the grades tab and click on the student name and see kind of their progress. So pretty cool. And then you can, right click. You can email this to someone or you can print it and how all the ways that you print, but you can also email it. So, yay! That's your people tab. If you have any questions, please make sure to throw them in the chat. But I'm going to continue because I don't see any questions. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. Stream and classwork. Okay. So stream is supposed to be just for your announcements. Classwork is for everything else. Now, the old Google Classroom worked just fine. When they updated to the new Google Classroom, when it was going through like people beta where you were testing it out, it worked just fine. Then when it came out and released to everybody, it had a defect. Google fixed the defect, but because people had really started using it, especially after COVID or during COVID, they were used to the defect. So now they make it to where you can either turn it on or off. So let me explain. So going to a different Google Classroom that has like some stuff already in it, this is how your stream is supposed to look. Now, some of y'all are looking at this that already use Google Classroom and go, my stream does not look like that. It's not that clean. That's because every time you put assignments, it also shows up on the stream. Some people like that. They're like, well, I like that. That's how it's supposed to work. It's actually not how it's supposed to work. But if you want it to work that way, then you don't have anything to do, you're fine. But no one is going to look through all that to see if you made an announcement. This is strictly supposed to be for announcements. Where if I come here, that's why it starts on stream. So I should be able to come here and see like what is my teacher trying to communicate with me. Then I'll go to classwork and click on my assignment. Whatever. Um, and then I have my upcoming work due right here so I can see like what's coming up. It's up to you how you want this to look, but how do you go between one and the other is in the gear. So if I come back here to the gear and I scroll down right underneath the invite codes that we were looking at earlier, stream and classwork. How do you want classwork to look on your stream? So notice it says stream. Students can comment and post, and then it says classwork on the stream. How do you want it to look? So we'll talk about all these right now. So I'm going to start with classwork on the stream because that's what I'm currently talking about. So notice I have it to hide the notifications. I don't want anything from the classwork showing up on the stream, but it's up to you. What it's going to do automatically is show condensed notifications. So this is how it's going to look usually. So all this stuff are assignments that I put on the classwork. It's notifying the student that, hey, I put something on the classwork. So they can come and click on here, but it's also kind of burying my announcement. So I came here and I did an announcement. Then I went play with classwork and I put all kind of stuff. And then when I come here, I'm like, oh, my announcement is all the way down here. They're not going to see that. So couple of things you can do for that. I can come here to the three dots and say, hey, move my announcement back to the top. I love when they added this button. So even my people that really want the classwork to be announced on the stream, I can still come here and say, hey, move that announcement to the top. But other things you can do for that is you can say hide the notifications. So I don't want classwork to notify them on the stream. So if you hide the notifications, it's going to do it right now. So if your students are used to that looking a certain way, you may not want to do it this school year. You may want to think about it for the next school year. But now the only thing that's showing up in the stream are the announcements. So really up to you. Now, I don't know why show attachments and details is here because you're pretty much like, what's the point? You're pretty much making stream another classwork. I'm like, well, what's the point of the classwork tab? So I mean, I think this is a little bit too far, but do what you do. So if you like it, I love it. So you can do, any of those, but this honestly shouldn't exist. This only exists because when they brought the new Google Classroom out, it was not working the way it's supposed to work. So now we have these options, and I always like options. So now we have these options of what we can do. I'm going to stop right here, see if we have any questions. I think something popped up in the chat, and then we'll talk about giving your students access. How much access do you want them to have to Google Classroom? My students get lots of notification emails. Is there a way to make it so they're not bombarded with so many emails, especially since they check Google Classroom anyway? Yes, there is a way for you not to get a whole bunch of emails and for them to not get a whole bunch of emails. And we're going to talk about that when we go back to the dashboard. So yes, there is a solution. I am going to show it to you today. Okay, so because Google Classroom will send you the emails, y'all. They will make sure you know everything is happening, but you got to go turn them off. And your students can also turn them off. So if your students are like, I didn't get any notification, it's because the students turned them off at some point. All right, so stream. What do you want your students to be able to do? Students can comment and post. Students can only comment. Only teachers can comment and post. So students can post and comment means they can post comments and they can post stuff. So if they want to post a video, if they want to post a picture, they can. They can actually post stuff and they can comment like under stuff. Now, if you don't want them to post stuff, but you only want them to comment, you can say students, can only comment. If you don't want them to do either one and you just want them to do their work, then you can say only teachers can comment and post, and they can still turn in work and they can always ask you questions. They can always comment to you. Okay, no matter what you pick. But you choose this per Google Classroom. Remember, these settings are just for this one classroom. So per Google Classroom, you can pick what you want. The default is that students can comment and post. So if you never go and do anything with this, your students can comment and post. But only teachers can comment. So you can choose which one you want. The good thing about this is you can choose it as you go. So I have some teachers, I call them stream ninjas, because they'll say, hey, right now, I want you to comment and post. I want you to show me how you did that math problem, but I want you to share it with all the students. So then they'll go turn this on, and then at the end of class, they'll come turn it off. Because I don't want you commenting and posting from home. Whatever your situation may be. So you can turn this on and off as you want to. Just hit save in the corner. The last thing I'm going to talk about with this little section is show deleted items. So because Google Classroom was created for education, there is no deleting in Google Classroom. The student will delete and think they deleted it, but you can always come here and see everything that a student did. So if a student runs to your desk and says, Emily said that Guy was a butthead, and you're like, what? And you go to Google Classroom and you're like, I don't see that. But that's because Emily deleted it. She saw, Marissa running up to you. She knew what was about to happen. So she deleted it. So you couldn't see it. You always have this button. I call it an investigation button. So you can come turn this on and see like what happened. Okay, so you can always come here and see for comments and all that kind of stuff, what's going on. So there, I don't know why I clicked it on like I had anything deleted, but there you go. So you can always come and turn that on and see what people tried to delete. Okay, so that's stream. That's how you can set up your stream the way you want your stream to look. Now let's talk about posting on stream and posting on classwork. So we're getting to like the nitty gritty. And then, like I said, we're going to go back to our dashboard and look at some more settings. Like no one ever talks about this kind of stuff, right? So we want to really, really talk about it. Make sure you can really make your Google Classroom work the way you want it to work. Posting. Okay, so I'm on my handy dandy stream. I think I'm gonna go back to my brand new classroom. So I'm on my handy dandy stream. I don't have anything on it. Oh look, stream settings. That's cute. Oh, that's cute. It leads you straight back to where I showed you, but I like it. All right, so you have some things over here on the side. So you have upcoming, no work due. This is where your students will be able to see what work do I have coming up. If you put a deadline on your work. Always put a deadline on your work. It's going to help your students. Even if you don't really care if they turn it in by Friday, put Friday because then it's going to show up on this list. If there's no deadline, it's not going to show, due date, I should say, not deadline. If there's no due date, it's not going to show up on this list. So keep that in mind. Meet link. So you can set up a meet link, especially if you're a virtual school or you have like virtual meetings or you may have office hours and all that kind of stuff. So if you wanted to set up a meet link, you can do it under your gear or you can do it right here. And that meet link will just always be the same. Okay. You can make it invisible to students and then show it to students when you want to show it to students, or you can just make it visible to students all the time. If you started using this during COVID, it is different. It has been updated. It's more secure, all that kind of stuff. So your students cannot get into it before you get into it, before you start it. So, all the complaints that were happening during that time, because students were just going and hanging out. And the teacher would come and be like, why are y'all in here? I haven't even started it yet. But all that has been solved. So even if you make it visible to students, if the students click on the link, it's just going to show that they're in a waiting room. So they won't be able to get in without you anyway. So this used to be really important, but now it's not so much. But there you go. You can also update your Meet link. Let's say again your link got out because your students posted it somewhere. You can always reset it and all kind of things like that. So if you need that, you have it there. And then quick links. This is kind of, I mean, it's not new, but it's kind of new. Like it wasn't there a year ago. But quick links. So if you have resources that you want your students to always just kind of have in the corner, just always have handy, you can put this here. I really love this. I just love little things that make a big difference. So again, if you have that YouTube channel that we're always going to, they don't have to come here and be like, wait, where did she post? She posted it last month. Oh, where is, it's always just kind of sitting here in the corner. So I really love that they added that. And notice you can just put the title and put the link. So if I say, awesome resource and I do my website, because it is an awesome resource. I can say add link, and now that link is just kind of sitting here. If I go to my student account, I'm gonna refresh. Oh, where's awesome? I'm gonna say, oh no! All right, so it's here. So you see the meet link, they can join. And if they join, they can't really get in without me being there. But then they have the awesome resource just kind of hanging out there. So love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Great. So now we want to post something. So announce something to your class. Yes, please. So in this box, I'm going to explain certain things and leave certain things off because the box looks the same as your classwork box. So I'll explain certain things now, certain things later. So first and foremost, go ahead and type your announcement. So I'm going to say, hello, bring your book tomorrow and study for the test Friday. All right. And notice I have some rich text formatting. So if I wanted to bold this, oh, Okay, or not. If I wanted to italicize, what is wrong? What is wrong? My underline worked. So let's see. Am I clicking too fast? All right, well, whatever. We'll see what happens. But my underline worked. Make bullets, and then this says just remove all the formatting from everything. So now I can, do a couple of, let's see if it will let me bold. No, no, no. Oh, apparently it's doing it, but it's just not showing it to me, I guess. I don't know. But there you go. So you have your rich text formatting. The one thing that you cannot do that people still ask for a lot is like make it bigger. Like make this is an important announcement. I want to make it 14 font. That you can't do that yet, but we do have this. So there you go. I did my announcement, and then I have some buttons all around my box. So the first button is super important. Is you can click here and you can send this to multiple Google Classrooms at the same time. So let's say this is my Google Classroom for first period, while I also want the same announcement in second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So I can come here and say, hey, just send this announcement to all my Google Classrooms at the same time. Yeah. Um, if you choose multiple Google Classrooms, you cannot choose students. So this will grayed out, just like you see that is grayed out. So I'm going to say, no, I just want it in this one Google Classroom. If it's only for this one Google Classroom, you can also choose students. So you can say, you know what? Someone said bus 39 is going to be late. So let me send that to the people that ride bus 39. So I can send it to them. Google Classroom has an app. So it shows up almost like a text message on students' phones. If and I'm not about to get into phone policies and all that kind of stuff. But there you go. So if I want to send this just to certain people, you can do that. I'm gonna talk about groups in a second. So you can send this just to certain people. Well, let me talk about it now. And then you also have groups. This is, oh, y'all, where has this been for the past 25 years? Yay! We can make permanent groups now. So I can say, hey, these are my students that get less test questions. Just create a group for them. And then when you're sending them the assignment with the less test questions, you literally don't have to, we used to just have to come here and we used to have like, it probably wasn't hanging up because the other students could see it, but you had list of students like, okay, who's in the one that get 10 test questions, okay, and then you would have to choose those students and click done, and then you're like, okay, the second group is the now you can just do the groups here, and then you have a whole group of students that you can send it to. Create group, and you just call, group one, whatever, and you click the students, and that's it. That's how easy it is to create groups. You can also do that if you saw, oh, yeah, they may not go, but you could also do that under the people tab. So if I wanted to send it to a certain group, or if I wanted to send it to certain students, I can do that here. And then I'm not going to go through these buttons right here, but I do want you to see that you can add attachments and all that kind of stuff to your announcements as well, not just your assignments. So you can add attachments and things like that, but I'll go through these buttons when we go to assignments. And notice you can post, or you have this little button on the side. So this is where you can come to, again, post and post do the same thing. It posts it right now. But you can also schedule it to post. So that's really awesome. So if I want to schedule it to post, it's going to say, hey, what time, what date do you want to schedule it for? So if I know I have bus duty and I'm always late to class, like my co-teacher always like just waits for me to come, I can post something. I can have it written on the board. Go to your Google Classroom, start the assignment. So if the class starts at 8, I can post it at 7:59. Because I don't want to post it before I leave home, because Marissa, the one that ran to you and was a little rat, Marissa, I always tell people I'm a rat, so I can say that. But Marissa will do it on the bus, right? She would do it on the bus to school just so she could say, like, I'm done. Do you want me to help them? And you go, like, sit down, Marissa, right? So I'm not gonna post it too early because Marissa's gonna do it, but I can post it at 7:59. So then when I'm walking, I'm like, why aren't y'all working? Like, I make it make sense because I know y'all have the assignment. Let's go. So you can post it. You wake up sick or sick of work. You can post stuff throughout the day. You can schedule stuff to go out. I know I've had people sitting in my training and they're like, oh, I'm like, baby, go ahead. They're like, I forgot to schedule it. I'm like, please do it. And they just schedule it to go out every class period, right? So there you go. Because you can do all this with assignments and with the stream. That's why I'm showing it to you. But then you also have saved drafts. So if I'm working on something and I'm doing like attachments and bold, and I mean, my assignment is just looking cute, but I need to go home. Like it's time to go home. I can just save it as a draft and come back to it later. I don't want to lose all my work because it's awesome. You can save it as a draft and notice it just kind of saves up here until you're ready to come back to it. And now I'm back to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and post it. Yes, post it. Post it. And now my students are here. I don't, this works differently for different accounts. Sometimes it'll just populate and you're like, yay. And then sometimes it'll do this. See how it says stream has updated? And I click it and now it populates. I don't know. It does differently for different accounts. But now you see, oh, look, you see, they did bold it and italicize it. They just didn't want me to see it. That's fine, whatever. But there you go. So now my student has my announcement. And because I gave them an option to respond, they can say, thank you. You are an amazing teacher and person. That's how my students used to talk to me. I don't know about yours, but so there you go. So now I'm gonna have a comment pop up at some point. I'm just gonna go ahead and refresh so we can move on. Um, so now I have my comment. Oh my God, and I've been like you too. But there you go. So that is how your stream works. I'm gonna see if we have any questions, and then we're gonna move to classwork. Let's see if we have any questions. No questions. All right, so now we're moving to classwork. So this is the nitty gritty. This is where everything else is done. This is where the magic happens. This is the room where it happens. Okay, so classwork, classwork, classwork. Notice you have a new button here that's called Share Classwork. Google, I'm telling y'all, the updates that they make in Google Classroom, I haven't seen one yet where I'm like, all right. Like it's always stuff I'm like, yay, finally. So you can actually share your classwork with another teacher. So you remember I said one reason to join is that you have like a resource Google Classroom. Well, now a lot of people don't have to do that because you can just share your Google Classroom with me. And I got the whole thing because I don't need your students. Keep those students. I just need your work. So notice it says you allow teachers in your organization to preview and export your assigned classroom items to their own class. So they're not like messing up your Google Classroom, but you're saying like, hey, these are all the things I assigned, or you can see it as I assign it. But now you can just say, oh, that looks great. Make a copy, and now it's in my Google Classroom. So really cool. You can play with this as you want to, but so now I can share this link with people. I can see how the link will, I don't have anything in there, but I can see how the link would look to other people, all that good stuff. So just keep that in mind that you have that button. All right, because this is basic, so you just worry about getting your own stuff in right now. So create. So we have our create button. We have assignment, quiz assignment, question, material, reuse, post, and topic. If you use the tech tool Cami, if you have Cami downloaded, you may see Cami assignment. That button did go, if you have the paid Cami, you can use that button. But that button did go away. They said they were working on bringing it back. I think one of the Google Classroom updates, I don't know. I don't know what happened in the background, but that button went away. So if you're like, wait, where's that? They did say they're working on bringing it on back. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, then that wasn't for you. So create assignment, quiz assignment, question, material, reuse, post. Assignment is what it sounds like. You're creating an assignment. Quiz assignment if you want a Google form quiz. So if you know how to do quizzes on Google Forms, you will never click this button. That button is not for you. If you already know how to go do a Google form, make it a quiz, blah, 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 this button is not for you. This is for people that don't know how to do all that, but they still want to use Google Forms as a quiz. Okay, so what it does is if you click on this, it's going to create a Google form for you and it's going to already turn it on as a quiz. Now, it's not going to do all the bells and whistles. It's just going to turn it on as a quiz. You go forth and prosper. So it just kind of does that one little button for you. And that's what I'm saying. If you already know how to do it, you're never going to click this button. Question. If you want to ask your students a question, let's say it's a bell ring or an exit ticket, something like that, this is a question that doesn't have a right or wrong. That's when you're going to use a Google form. But if you're going to use a question, it's like, it's for voting, it's for, like I said, exit ticket, bell ringers, not something that you're going to put an X on per se. That's when you're going to use question. Material is for anything that you want to give them and you don't need anything back. Here's my syllabus. Here's the math equation sheet. Here's the whatever. Okay. So, periodic table. I need to give you something. I don't need anything back from you. That's material. Reuse post will allow you to reuse the things that you've posted from previous Google Classrooms. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then topic is how you organize. There is no subtopic. We're still waiting. But topic is how you organize. So we'll talk about organization a little bit towards the end, once we start getting into like all of our get out of the nitty gritty and on to like dashboard and stuff like that. Okay. Create assignment. So I'm going to click create assignment. And notice my box looks a little bit as the other box looked, but I got some extra buttons going on around here. So let's see what's going on. So if I'm creating an assignment, I'm going to come here and I'm going to give my assignment a title. So let's say we are talking about, we said this was English. So we'll say it's an essay. And then we put our instructions here. Do it right, whatever you want your instructions to say. And then notice you have your rich text format. So all this looks the same, right? None of this is different. But then on this side, this looks the same. I can send it to multiple Google Classrooms at the same time. I can also send it to certain student groups or certain students. All the same buttons. But now we start getting into some new stuff. So if I scroll down just a little bit, I have due dates. So this is what I was saying. If you don't put a due date on it, it's not going to be on that important list. So even if it's something that, I'm like, and I may just tell them verbally, like, y'all put Friday on it, but you have the weekend. I just want it to be on that important list. Try to turn it in by Friday though, whatever, however you want to do that. But, I'm going to click due date. I can put the date. I can use the little calendar to put the date here, and notice I can go to, if it's due in 2025, 2045. There you go. But I have the date here, and then, no, where did I go? Okay. So, here, and then I can put the time as well. So if I want it due by the end of the class period, then I need to put that time here. So that way, either it's going to mark it late if they go to math and then turn it in, it's going to mark it as late, or the magic button that people have been asking for since the birth of Google Classroom, close it after the due date. We never had that option before. Students can turn in work. They were in the fifth 9, well, it's no 5 9 weeks, but they were in the fifth 6 weeks, and they turned it in for the first 6 weeks. And I was just telling my teachers, just don't grade it. They're like, I can't believe they did that. I'm like, just ignore it. But now we can actually close the assignment. So if you wanted to close the assignment after that due date, then it's going to close. So yay life, yay us. Let's see what the little information tells us. Students can still edit some attachments after the due date. Okay, cool. So there you go. And then I'm going to skip topic just for a second, but notice you can add a topic right here in the assignment, but I'm going to skip that for a second. This grading part, I'm going to skip because you're not always going to see that. The only reason you see this is because I set that up in the settings, which we're going to go to after we finish this. So I'm going to skip this because we'll come back to it later, I promise. But you can set a grading period if you want to set grading periods, like first 6 weeks, second 6 weeks, that kind of stuff. You can do that, but that's also under the gear. So we'll talk about that later. And then you have rubric and check plagiarism. So if you want to add a rubric to your assignment, you literally will click. You can reuse a rubric you've already done. I have never imported from Sheets, but you can also create your rubric right here. So of course you can say, I'm looking for spelling, and you can say spell it right, and you can say, 1 point is sucky spelling, and then 2 points is kind of sucky spelling, whatever. Help yourself. So you fill this all in. You can say that you want to duplicate it, and now I can talk about punctuation, sucky punctuation, blah, 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 blah. You also can come here. Oh, no, not there. Oh, right here. Sorry. And you can do ascending or descending. So do you want it to start from 1 or do you want to start from 5? So if you think all your students are going to fail it, unfortunately, you can start it from 1. Usually I started from the high level because I'm hoping you get more points than not. But do your thing. But there you go. And then you can just add a blank criterion and do a brand new one. Oh yeah, because I didn't fill out everything. Let me delete this stuff. Delete. I think these should be fine. All right. So then you can save your rubric. The thing that I like about rubrics is when you go to the grading side of Google Classroom, which of course we'll talk about, you click it and the rubric is right there for you to use, but your students also see the rubric. And I really like that because they can see like how you're grading it. And then you have check plagiarism. This used to be called originality report, so you'll still see it called that. If you're using the free account, you can do 5 per Google Class. Yeah, 5 per Google Classroom. So, use them sparingly. But what this will do is check for plagiarism if they're writing or doing like a constructive response. So we should be writing in all content areas. So you can it'll check it against the internet. So if they didn't cite something, that kind of thing, it'll say, oh, they stole this passage. Your students, if you do turn this on for this assignment, your students can check their own assignment 3 times. So they'll turn it in and they'll say check. And it'll say, oh, 50% of this paper has a problem. And then they can go fix it and they can say check. And it's like 20% of this. So they can check it 3 times. And then once they turn it into you, you can check it once. And it'll give you a report on the originality. If you have the paid account, you have unlimited originality reports. And it will check it against previous students in the district. So it's not just against the internet. It's also against other Google Drives. How it does all that, I don't know. I can't explain it all. But there you go. So there you go. That's the originality report. So then you have your attachment. So I'm going to stop right here, and I think we have a question. Does it also check for AI use? No, it doesn't check for AI use. But if this is how I think about it. If AI is getting stuff from the internet and then your students copy it from AI, it should catch that, if that makes sense. So at this point, I haven't seen a really great AI checker or check for plagiarism like AI tool yet. So yeah. So that's where I will leave that. So then you have the attachments and then you have add-ons. So add-ons, all this, if you see it, if you don't see it, you're honestly, you're fine. But what an add-on will do is if I say Kahoot or PBS Media or any of these other add-ons that they have, it doesn't give you a free account to those things. It just means if I already have an account for those things and I wanted to like add a Kahoot to this assignment, I can just click Kahoot. It's still gonna make me log in and all that kind of stuff. And then I can add the Kahoot right from here. So it's just kind of a quick, I can do it here versus going to Kahoot.com, getting the link and bringing it back. So that's what an add-on is. And we're not going deep into, all this stuff. And y'all will be here for 5 hours. Like again, this is a basic class. So then you have your attachments. You have attaching something from your Google Drive, attaching a YouTube video, Creating a document just from here. So if I need to create like a blank Google Doc, I can do that right from here. You have uploading from your computer, and you have putting a link. Like if I had a link to a video that wasn't on YouTube, I could just say, hey, go to this link. You also have practice sets and read along. I'm not going to go into those. That's a whole class by itself. But practice sets and read along are for your paid tools. If you pay for Google Classroom, even if you pay for Google Classroom, you may not see read along. That's because your district has to turn it on. So I don't want you to go, I don't see read along. That means we were not paid. That's not necessarily what that means. But if you do have a paid account, and you know you have a paid account and you don't see read along, you may want to ask your district Google admin to turn it on. But what reading along it's up to sixth grade, and it's for reading. It's for reading fluency. It's to learn how to read. They have a little AI helper called Daya, and she helps them read. They can read out loud, and is checking for their fluency. It's checking to see if they know the words, that kind of thing. And then it gives the teacher a report, like these are the words that she kept saying incorrectly. You may want to work on those words with them. um it has Haggerty reading books and all that. So really awesome too. I love teaching about it, but for Google Classroom Basics, we're not going deep into that. And then practice sets I like to call it almost like a homework creator. It's a practice set. When you get into it, you're like, oh, this is awesome. But it's not used for assessment. So keep that in mind. Keep those two things completely separate. So this is a practice set. So you can say, hey, we're learning fractions. You can literally type in fractions, and it'll come up with questions for you. It'll say like like these are the skills for fractions. Do you want any of these skills? And you'll say, yeah, I want this skill. And what it'll do is you can put in your own questions. If you have a handout already with questions, you can go and almost take like a snippet of that, and you'll pull those questions in. I said it would create questions for you. That's a lie. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that. But you can put in your questions, all that kind of stuff. But it will create the resources for you. So when you give it to your student and your student is going through the questions, if they need help, they can literally click on the light bulb, and it'll give them a video to watch, or it'll give them a document of like, this is your help. So it really is to practice, to help your students practice skills. Really awesome. You can use practice sets. So we're going to focus on pretty much the drive button. But you do have these other buttons, and notice create. You can create a doc, a slide, all the good things. There you go. And Viz are now on the free account. So there you go. You can create a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm just going to focus on drive for this class. So if I wanted to pull stuff in from my drive, I'm going to pull in this PDF. That's super important. I'm going to pull in this Google Doc. Yes, 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 yes. I'm going to pull in this Google form. I need them to fill out this quiz. And I'm going to pull in a Word document. Perfection. All right. So I pulled in, that's fine. All right. So I pulled in all kind of stuff. If you see I have the little, like I kind of stopped, I was like, oh, why am I getting an error? If you get a little error like this, that means that somebody shared that with you, but they didn't say you can share it with other people. So you'll get that little error going, this is not yours. So just keep that in mind. All right. But for what we're doing right now, it's fine. All right. So notice it shows you that this is a PDF, this is a Google Doc, this is a Google Form, and this is a Microsoft Word document. And it has this button right here. So these are the common mistakes that people make when they start using Google Classroom. All right, so students can view files. So if you never touch that, that means the students will be able to look at it. So if I send them this Google Doc, I'm like, hey, I need you to edit it. I need you to type on it. I need you to do it. If you keep it on students can view file, then that's all the students can do is view the file. So that means I have to come here and choose one of these other ones. Either students can edit file or make a copy for each student. Second common mistake. They'll say, oh, well, Desiree, I want them to edit. So I'm going to say students can edit file. This is your group work tool. So this is saying all the students I'm sending it to right now can edit the same file. So if I wanted to do group work, this would be perfect because any of the students that I sent it to up here will be on that one file. So that means if I want to do group work, this is how I do group one. I'll go select the students for group one and say students can edit file, assign, open up another assignment, select the students for group two, students can edit file, send it. So that's how you do group work. Most of the time, you're going to click make a copy for each student. This is your copy machine. This is your individual work. It's going to put the student name on it and send it on to them. So most of the time in life, you're going to choose make a copy for each student. Now, if I come here and say make a copy for each student, that's great. But your student will not be able to edit it because it's a PDF. So just keep that in mind. You still may want to make a copy, that's fine, but they won't be able to edit it unless it's Google. Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google whatever, Google whatever, Google whatever. Now, Microsoft gets a little wavy because you can now edit Microsoft in Google. Just make it Google. That just so you won't get hung up, because even though you can now edit Microsoft, it still stays Microsoft. Google. Okay, Google Docs, Google, whatever is how they can edit. So I still stick to that, just so we don't get into any kind of weeds. Make sure that it's a Google, whatever you want it to be, so they can actually edit it and turn it in just fine. So I'm gonna delete those two because they're not gonna let me share it. But there you go. So now I am ready. I have an amazing assignment. I am ready to go. Notice my split has the same stuff here, the draft and blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to hit assign. So now I have an assignment that my student can do. Yay! So I'm going to go through the rest of the boxes pretty quickly, and then we're going to get to grading, and then we're going to get to the rest of the stuff. Because, y'all, the time is already gone. The time is timing. All right, so, and I love it. I love it. Hopefully you're getting a lot of good stuff from it. So I have an assignment here. Yay! So now if I go to quiz assignment, notice it automatically puts that Google form there, and I actually have to click on it and go into it to build my quiz. Question. Notice it says, and notice the box are the exact same. That's what I really like about, once you learn the box, you know the box. But you can do short answer, which, there's nothing to put here, but for short answer, students can reply to each other. So even if you turn commenting off, do you want them to reply to each other? And then students can edit the answer. So that means if they type the answer, can they go back and edit it? The cool thing about doing short answer is they have to type their answer first before they see everybody else's. But if you tell them that they can edit it, so then they can see everybody else's and edit it. So just be careful of what you want them to do and what you don't want them to do. And then you have multiple choice. So if you click multiple choice, this looks almost like a Google form. So I can come here and say, yes, I want to vote for the field trip, or no, I don't want to vote, whatever. And you can, move these around, whatever. So, okay, same thing. So if you want multiple choice, you have that, and then you have, can the students see a class summary? So can they see how many people chose A versus B? Do you want them to see that? Or if you don't, you uncheck it. So that's question. Then you have material. Nothing's new in material because you're just giving something out. Notice there's no due date. You're just giving something out. So that's material. Then you have reuse post. So like I said, reuse post is where you can reuse it from different Google Classrooms. So you see I have all these Google Classrooms, and you may be like, but Desiree, why do you have so many Google Classrooms on here? But you didn't have all those on your dashboard. That's because it also shows you the Google Classrooms that you have archived. We're going to talk about archiving. So it also shows you the Google Classrooms that you said I'm done with. Okay, so if I wanted to come here, of course, I always do that. I always pick ones that have like nothing in them. I'm so smart. All right. So if I want to come here, I can say, hey, I want to reuse this one. I want to create new copies of all the attachments. I can click reuse, and now I have that assignment pulled up. It's ready to go. I can come here and change anything I want to change, and then I can assign it. Notice it's in draft mode because I didn't. So if I wanted to delete the draft, I could. And then you have topic. So topic is what you're going to use when you want to organize. So you see how it says breakout rooms, essays, question tests. These are your topics. So when you're using your topics, you need to put in your brain, how do you want to organize? Do you want to organize by unit? Do you want to organize by week? Do you want to organize by topic? Like, how do you want to organize? Because you don't have subtopics or, well, yeah, subtopics. So you can't put week one and then have Hamlet and then have writing and then have, no, you only get one main topic. So you're going to have to question yourself of how do I want to organize this? So you can come here and do a topic. Let's say writing is my topic or week one or whatever I want to put. So here's my topic. I can always drag and drop things into this topic. I can also do the topic. You can create a new one or do the same one while you're in the assignment. Remember I said I was going to come back to that? So you can do that as well. And there you go. That is all the things that you can do under your classwork. Notice, because I have a topic, I now have a topic filter. So this will let you move from topic to topic. So let's say for my student, let's say I was doing topics by weeks. And I said, hey, go back to when we were talking about Macbeth and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what week was that? I'm like, it's in week 3. So they can come here and go to week 3. Instead of like scrolling through all it, they can come here and click on week 3 and you'll bring them to that topic. So we're not going to go too much deeper into organization because again, this is a basic class and we want to make sure that you get everything to just use it well. Then after you start using it a whole bunch, you're going to start thinking about, how can I do this? How can I do that? So then you have your grading tab. So I'm going to go into a classroom that has more stuff in it. So this is how your grading tab will look is as you're doing the assignments, you see that you have all the grades here. Now they've been really updating this, y'all. So you can come here and do like grade all and give everybody 100 points for participation now. There's all kind of really awesome things you can do. If it's grade out, that means that you have not graded that and sent it back to the student yet. So, you can come and do that. Notice this says draft. So that means I graded it, but I haven't sent that back to the student yet. So I can return that to the student. But there's all kinds of awesome things that you can do on here. What this means, so this is grayed out. So that means I said it means that you haven't returned it back to the student. That was a lie. I'm sorry. That means the student has not turned it in yet. So my student has turned in these things and is waiting for me to grade. This means my student has not turned it in yet. So excuse me. That's what I said. I think I misspoke. But there you go. Now to get to the assignment, I can click it right here, but I can also click it under classwork as well. So when you're ready to grade, you can either come here and click it and get to the grading screen, or I can get to it from classwork. It's really up to you. So if I click on the assignment, notice it says 0 has turned it in, 2 of them are assigned, and I can click on any of these. Well, this is 0, so I can't click on that one. But I can come and click on this one and go see what the student has turned in. I'm trying to find something that my student has turned in. All right. So there you go. It's going to show each of your students down here. And you can actually click on them. If it's like a Google Doc, you can actually click and see them working in real time. Can you see what's on their screen? No. You can only see what they're doing on the document. So keep that in. It doesn't replace Go Guardian or anything like that. But I can click here and see like, because sometimes let's say I have a table in front of me for my remediation students and I'm working on them. And I'm looking at the corner of my eye and I'm seeing Michael doing nothing. Like he's just looking at the screen. You know, he's watching a YouTube video, right? Or TikTok, whatever. He's looking at the screen. So I'm gonna go right here and I'm gonna click on Michael. And I'm just gonna see like, oh, he's not typing anything. You know, his screen just sitting here just like this, just blank. So then I can be like, Michael, you okay? He's like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. And then I see him start typing, right? So it's for that kind of stuff where I'm like, what is he doing? Um, I can click on new student, blah, 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 blah. And then when I'm ready to kind of hold on. Okay. I'm just like, what's happening? But all your students will be listed here. Notice I've already graded one and all that kind of good stuff. But when I click on one of my student files, it brings me to the second grading screen. Honestly, I like to just go straight into the second grading screen. So this is the second grading screen, and this is where you can see all of your students' works. You can choose the student that you want to look at. You can also go student by student. You can come over here and give your students grades. You can also give them private comments like, you did such a good job, blah, blah, or hey, you really need to redo this, blah, blah, blah. If your student turned in multiple things, it will be listed here. So let's say they turned in a Google Doc and a picture. They're all going to be listed right here. Excuse me. Under files. Okay. When I'm ready, when I give my student a grade, you have to return it back to the student. The student is not going to see a grade unless you turn it back to the student. You have to click return. So either I can return it student by student, or I can just grade all my students and then return multiple submissions. So you don't have to keep clicking. If I'm grading all these papers right now, I'm just going to wait till the end and return them all at the same time. So then I can return multiple submissions, click all my students, and click return one time. You also have a comment bank that you can use. So if you're commenting on your student work, you're not always going to be commenting on student work, but if you're commenting and you're using the same comments over and over and over, you forgot the equal sign. You forgot to use this part of the experiment, whatever. If you're commenting over and over and over, you can actually add comments to this comment bank and then use them. So if my student has something here, I can't comment because they don't have anything on the paper, but I could use this comment bank. If anybody wants to know more about the comment bank, I can tell you, but I'm gonna move on. So this is your grading screen, and then this is how you grade all of your students' work, and that's it. That's how you get to all your students' work. That's how you grade all your students' work. Um, and then it'll show up in your grade book, or you can come here and go to the same screen. I can go to essay. I can click on my student. Oh, I think that's what I gave them, but or maybe it's what I don't know. I don't know what I did, but and then I can come here and grade and all that kind of stuff. This is how the rubric looks. I wanted to show you how the rubric looks. If you have a rubric, this is where it will be. So I can just come here and do the rubric, and then again, you have to return it to your student. So, with that being said, now what I want to do is go through the rest of the gear, and then we're going to go through the dashboard and all the little stuff on this side. So if you have a question about the nitty gritty, everything I just showed you was the nitty gritty of Google Classroom, right? How do I give stuff to my students? How do I put due dates on it? How do I grade it? That's the nitty gritty. Now we're going to go through the stuff that kind of, I don't want to say no one talks about, but that no one talks about. And so you're going to see something and you're going to be like, oh, that would have made my life easier. I'm like, I know. So we're going to go through some of the other things that's in Google Classroom to make it work the way you want it to work. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the gear, because that is classroom by classroom. So these are the settings that you will have to do for first period, but then you're going to have to go into second period and do it all over again, unfortunately. So this is classroom by classroom, the settings. So I told you that peace and love wouldn't show up anywhere. It shows up here because these are your class details. Let's see if the student sees it. So if the student goes to stream, I'm not seeing peace and love anywhere. Classwork, nope. People, nope. I see English third period, but I'm not seeing peace and love. Just making sure it's not showing up anywhere. Oh, it is. Look, it's under the I. So it is showing up now. Yay! So subject and room will show up under the I for your student. So if you leave it blank, they just won't have anything there. But if you want to put something there, there you go. Oh, that makes me happy. That's finally showing up for the student. So there you go. Yay. Oh, gosh. Okay. But you can come here and change the class details if you would like to. So I can change this to something else, whatever. You have it all here for you to change it. We already talked about your invite codes. We already talked about streaming classwork. So we're going to scroll down to Guardian Access. Do you want your parent or guardian to be able to not I'm not gonna say access your Google Classroom, but they'll get an email summary. So if you see example, if you don't see it, come back to this video whenever you want to see it. But this is an example of a Okay. So where's the actual example? So this is the example of an email that your parent can get. They can get either a daily or a weekly email. So notice it says from English Lit, they're missing this, and from Algebra, they're missing this. What's due in the next few days? So it goes through their Google English Lit, World History, Algebra 2. Then it takes like a snapshot of some of the stuff you posted. You can't tell it, I want you to show the parents this. It's just going to take a snapshot of something you posted. So these are some things that this is an announcement, an assignment that was posted, world history, a question, some announcements. So it'll give like a snapshot of what's going on. So if you want your Google Classroom to be part of that, you just leave this turned on. Some districts will turn it on and off and gray it out, so you cannot choose. If you don't want your, like, let's say I'm doing a 4-H. I don't want my parents all in my 4-H club. So I can say, no, they don't need that information. I can turn it off and hit save. But if it's turned on, and that student is in your class, then yours is going to be in that nice little summary. How do you get your parents in? Under your people tab, notice I have students and then I have invite guardians. So I would click that and I would type in the guardian's email address. And then I would click invite. If they have 50 guardians, then type in 50 guardians and hit invite. The cool thing is since they're part of a school district, as long as one person does it, it follows that student around. So let's say everybody in homeroom, well, you probably don't have a Google Classroom for home. First period, everybody in first period, you put in your guardians, and now it will follow them. By the time they get to high school, everybody should already have guardians in there. So that's how you get the guardians in your Google Classroom. And then you have the Meet link. This is all the same stuff that was in that little box. So we're going to move on. And then you have grading. I'm not going to go too deep into grading. This is super important if you use Google Classroom as your grading system or if it's connected to your SIS. So like if you use Power School and some of these like national SISs, Google Classroom can connect to them. So then this is going to be really important. If not, it's not going to be important for you. But just going through like what's here, you have grading periods. So you can now do grading periods and then you can base the due date on the grading periods. So you can set your grading periods up here. This is first 6 weeks, start date, end date. Apply to existing assignments. So it'll automatically go and put first 6 weeks on that assignment. Copy to other classes. You can say, hey, I'm not trying to do this because remember, these are per class. So thank goodness they have this button where you can put it to the other classes. Then you have grading scale. So are you doing percentages? Are you doing a 4-point scale? Like, what are you doing? I'm doing letter grade. So what's an A plus? What's the A minus? You can put this all in here. So this will be your grading scale. I notice some of these are brand new. No, I'm not gonna say brand. They've been out for some months. Probably like all of this year, but they're still kind of new. Drive grade for missing assignments. So you know how in some districts you cannot give zeros, right? So you can say, the default grade for a missing assignment is a 50 because that's the lowest a student can make, that kind of thing. So that's what they're asking you here. I'm gonna put this back to zero, but which is what I agree with, but whatever. So grade calculation, overall grade. Definitely make sure that these are turned off if you're not using these things. So make sure it says no and it's turned off. But if you are using it, are you going to do total points? Or you do it weighted by category? If you want to show the overall grade to the student, you can say yes here. Now, if the reason why I say turn it off is because if you use like a different grading place, and they have an 89, and then they come to Google Classroom and it says they have a 98 because everything isn't in Google Classroom, you're going to start getting complaints. So that's when you want to say like, nah, don't show them the overall grade. But do you do total points or is it graded by category? The categories are down here. So these are the categories. You can say tests are usually 100 points. Homework is usually 10 points, that kind of thing. And then you can put your categories here. Now, one thing that I do like with the categories is if you do categories, you can also do it here. So you're always going to tell it how many points the assignment is. So the assignment is 20 points or it's an ungraded assignment. This will be there for everybody. But if you turn on categories, you can say, you know what, this is a bell ringer. And it's going to automatically put that 10 points there. So even if I don't use Google Classroom for grading, I can turn on the grading categories and it just helps me if I know all my exit tickets. So I don't have to go and put 5 points. If I know that it's a test, it's going to automatic. So it just saves you a couple of seconds, but I really like it. I'm like, oh, I kind of like it. So there you go. And then I can always say, no, the homework today is going to be 25 points. How you like it? You can always change it. But I do like the grading categories that you can put, even if you don't use this for grading, I can still say no to all this and I can still use the grading categories. So just a little tip. So that's it for your gear. Those are all of the rest of your settings down here to make Google Classroom work the way you want it to work. And now we're going to go to the dashboard and go through some of the rest of these things. Some of them you won't have, some of them you will. So we'll talk about all that in a second. So let's see if we have any questions in the chat. I don't see any questions. That means I'm doing a good job, I guess. All right. So if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. Okay. So going back to the dashboard, going back to how do I archive? How do I turn off these emails? How do I do all this stuff? Let's look at it. So to go back to your dashboard, I'm going to click on Classroom in the corner, or I can click on Home. Does the same thing. Okay. So now I'm back to my dashboard. This is where all of my Google classes live. Yay! So if I want to move these around and put them in the order that I want to put them in, I literally can just drag and drop them. You can put them in whatever order you want to put them in. We fought in the streets for that. You give that some respect because we fought in the streets. All right. I've been using it for a while, y'all. I've been using it since it came out. So you used to have to have a map, like which one do I need to add first because it's going to be the last one. Look, somebody, y'all don't understand when they did this. We were crying. All right. So anyway, you can drag it and drop it. So on each of your Google Classrooms, you have these little buttons that do different things. So one of them just opens up your analytics quicker. One of them gets you to the gradebook quicker. One of them gets you to the folder in Google Drive. What folder in Google Drive? Well, every time you create a Google Classroom, it creates a Google Drive folder for that classroom and a Google Calendar for that classroom. Okay. In Google Drive, you will see, if you've never done this before, in your Google Drive, you're going to see a folder called Classroom. Never get rid of that folder. It will make your Google Drive crazy. Okay. Now you can hide the folder. You can put the folder in a folder in a folder, but never get rid of that folder. So in that folder is every Google Drive you have ever created. I've been training on this for a while. I go delete them, but then they multiply. So all the Google Classrooms that you've ever created, I think I've deleted it from 2020. So I guess these are all, oh no, that's 2019, so whatever. But all the Google Classrooms you've ever created, and in here is all the assignments that you created, and in here is all the student work. So you always have access to it, as long as you don't delete it, but you always have access to it in your Google Drive. Even if you delete the Google Classroom, which I'm about to show you how to do, you always have these in your Google Drive. And some people get really upset because it's just a lot of stuff. So notice I kind of show them how to organize. If you put a Z in front of your title, it's going to be at the bottom of your list. And you can have like a completed, you can have an older class, and you can just throw them in there, however you want to organize it. But you do have this Google Classroom folder. And then you also have a Google Calendar, which you may need to go hide or delete. So there you go. But you also have the three dots. So the three dots gives you more options. Move, you may be like, well, Desiree, why do I need a move button when I can just drag and drop? Well, if you have 50 million Google Classrooms, you're not going to be able to drag and drop easily. So that's when you may want to use the move button and move it this way. You also have the edit button. So I know one time I spelled English wrong and they thought it was so funny. So you can come here and update your stuff. You may think, well, can I update it in the class details? You can, but it will not update it for the actual Google Classroom. So you need to come and update it here. There you go. They thought it was hilarious. I made a mistake. Then you have copy and archive. So copying a Google Classroom, if you copy an entire Google Classroom, what that will do is it will copy, like you see mine says copy of Google Classroom. You can change the name, of course, but it's only going to copy the classwork on your Google Classroom. So it's going to copy the topic, the classwork tab, I'm sorry, on your Google Classroom. So you see how all these are grayed out? That's because they're all in draft mode. So if I put students in this class, they're not going to see anything because everything is in draft mode. So that means I have to click it open, I have to edit it, hopefully change the due date and all that kind of stuff, and then I can assign it. So people have been using this for not starting a brand new Google Classroom every year. Some people do Google Classrooms per class period. So they'll say like, third 6 weeks Google Classroom, fourth 6 weeks Google Classroom. And that way students are not seeing old stuff. Also, if they're using the free account, it gives them 5 more originality reports. Y'all, there's all kinds of tips and tricks. Let me get back to the basics. Okay. All right, so now that I've done all of that and I've shown you the copy, now we can archive. So whenever you are done with your Google Classroom, please archive it. I've had teachers say, I have people that come back to Google Classroom. I taught, 8th grade, and then they go to high school, and then they come and hang out and talk in my Google Classroom. I'm like, that's not how that's supposed to work. So you got to archive it so they don't have access to it. But before you archive it, I do suggest going to edit and putting the school year on it. Why? Because when you reuse the post, you'll know what year you're trying to get back to reuse the post. It's going to help you eventually, I promise. So when you do archive the class, it's going to disappear from here and it's going to go into archive classes right here on your side panel. So these are all of my archive classes. I can come here and delete or restore. So if you ever wanted to delete your Google Classroom, there's no way you can delete it by mistake. You have to archive it first, go into archive, then delete it. So there is no, I deleted it by mistake. No, ma'am, you didn't. Okay, so that's how you can delete a Google Classroom. I suggest never deleting an original Google Classroom. So what do I mean by that? If you have history, period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can delete 4 of them, but keep 1. If you put the same information in all of them, you don't need all of them, but keep 1 for 2022, 2023. Okay, so That's why, come and delete the ones you don't need, but then keep your original. Keep at least one because you never know when you can reuse that stuff. So I'm going back home and I'm going to answer a question from the chat. How do we get the analytics button to show? You don't. You don't get the analytics button to show. So it is brand new. Anytime you see somebody's account and they have like a little new button by it, that means it's coming. A lot of districts, when I was the Google admin for a large school district, I didn't let new stuff hit my accounts for like a whole month because I don't want something hitting my account and then it fails and it's on the news. No, we'll be fine. So it's coming. Is the best way I can say. I don't think analytics is a paid thing. I may need to look that up. But so I'm gonna put that out there. I don't know if it's paid or free for the accounts, but if it is free or if you do have a paid account, it's coming. Things are released at different times. And Google even releases stuff at different times. So like in batches, I should say. It's released, but then it goes to back. So it should be coming unless there's a paid thing, which I cannot answer right now. Okay, so going back to the side panel, that's everything you can do in your dashboard. But going back to the side panel, some of the other buttons that you have over here is you have your Google Calendar, you have resources. So under resources will be all of your practice sets. There'll also be your interactive video activities, which I did not go through. But in YouTube, the YouTube button that you have to add to YouTube, you can put the YouTube link right here, and you can also do video activities. So this is where you can put questions in your YouTube video. I'm not going to go deeper into that, but they live under your resources. Excuse me. Gemini in Google Classroom was a paid thing, but now it's released to everyone. So as far as I understand it, it's releasing. Now you may not see the button just yet. Again, it just got released to everybody. But so Gemini is your AI tool in Google Classroom, and you can see, I'm not going into this, but you can see all of the things that you can do, and you can see this could be a class by itself, right? But you can see all of the things that it can do. So help yourself playing with Gemini in Google Classroom. I was excited to hear because I hadn't heard that it was going to be released to everybody. So someone was like, yo, no, everybody has it now. I'm like, yeah. So there you go. I'm not going to go through admin tools because these are just for your like Google admins. These are the classes that you're actually teaching, like that you're in control of. I don't like this screen. All right. These are the ones that you're teaching. If you click to review, this kind of tells you like, hey, you have some stuff to grade. Like you may want to look at this. This is for you to see. And then these are the classes that you're enrolled in, if you're enrolled in any of them. And you have a to-do list. So it's going to say like, hey, these are some things you still have to do for these classes you're enrolled in. And then you have your archive classes, which we already talked about. And now you have your settings. Like I know I have that person that asked 25 years ago about notifications. They're like, she's going to forget. She's going to forget. I'm not going to forget. It's right here under settings. So if I come here to settings, these are your settings for all of your Google Classrooms. So notice you have the gear inside the Google Classroom that's for that one class, but these are the settings for all of your Google classes. So here we go. The profile, this is like your overall Google profile. So I probably wouldn't play with it here. Like this is for your whole Google account. So I'm just gonna pass on that. Guardian access. So do you want to enable guardian access? So anytime you create a class, it's going to automatically be turned on, or no, you can turn it off. And to turn this off, you simply click it. There's not a, I have people that be doing that and they're like, it's not working. You just click it. That's all. Just click. It looks like you're supposed to move it, but you're not. And then here we go. Here's your answer. Notifications. So you can say, I don't want nothing. Leave me alone. That's that first button. That used to be the only button we had. It was like yes or no. But now we have a whole bunch. So you can either say, no, leave me alone, I don't want anything, or you can scroll down a little bit and you can choose what you want to get. So, for example, do you want to get an email every time somebody comments on a post? Do you want to get an email every time somebody comments and mentions you? Do you want, so you get the point. So you can turn these on and off as you want to. And then you can get class notifications. So I can click here and I can say, you know what? I do not need notifications for the 4-H club, but I do want them for my history class. I don't want it for my science class. So you can turn them on and off per class. Let's see what our students see. So if the student comes here, notice they haven't enrolled. They have a to-do list, all the things that we were talking about. They also have a Gemini button, which I honestly didn't know, so that's good to know. They have a Gemini button. That's weird, but okay. I'm gonna have to look into that. I think this student is in there as a student. Well, they are, because they only have make sure, yeah, they only have join. So they're in here as a student. That's interesting that they have a Gemini button. Okay, cool beans. All right. All right. So under settings, they have also, I don't want nothing. They also have all, there's different things on here, but they do have these, and they also have class notifications. So they can turn, students themselves can turn off their notifications. So just keep that in mind. I've had teachers be like, why? I don't like that. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't create it. But I like you to know, right, that they can turn it off as well. So keep that in mind. So y'all, that has been Google Classroom Basics. It's a lot, especially if you're brand new to Google Classroom. So I am very, very happy that you have this recorded, that you can go back when you're setting up your Google Classrooms. Like, what did she say about, classroom, this or that? You can go back to that part of the video, look at it, you have it. So there you go. So we have a question from the chat. How did you make your mouse button so big? So that is English. I get that question every time I present y'all. I can literally be being like, this is how you do heart surgery. And they'll be like, how's your mouse like that? I'm like, all right. But no, I get it all the time. So I always leave it up here. It's an extension called Custom Cursor. So I don't know if you can use extensions or not and all that kind of stuff, but it's the best extension because people can see where you're clicking. So including your students sitting in your classroom, they can actually see where you're clicking on the screen. So Custom Cursor is an extension. You can get 50,000 cursors. I'm boring, so I like the big yellow happy face. I think it's fine for what I do. But there's a whole bunch more here. You can also upload your own. So if you do upload your own, realize, I don't know why I didn't have to click on that. But if you upload your own, you do need 2 pictures because you have one that looks like that and one that looks like that. Like one when you're about to click and one. So you'll need 2 pictures if you upload your own. You also have more cursors. That's what I want to click on. That has a lot more cursors. Notice there's more buttons under all of these. So y'all help yourself. It's crazy tasty. There's also, mine is not even the biggest. You can make them much bigger. You can turn it on and off when you don't want it. So just help yourself. Custom cursor. Okay, well, that is it. That is Google Classroom Basics or Classroom. Google Classroom. You should be ready to go. Really good at doing all the things you need to do. You can always go back and watch the rest of the videos. I appreciate you spending time with me. I appreciate your trust in knowing that I'm gonna give you the good of what you need to get what you need and to be successful. So thank you very much.